Which countries performed the sneak attack on Israel in 1973? All right, Egypt and Syria performed a sneak attack on Israel in 1973. Um, all right, we're gonna push forward here, and I'm gonna kind of explain to you why we're discussing this, right? So the general concept of this lecture of A23, A24, A25 is not only to teach you about Middle East and the war in the Middle East, but of how superpowers, a more powerful nation, influences and kind of manipulates and controls these weaker states, right? Because eventually what happens is those weak states, they tend to become very hostile. They engage in violent acts towards their citizens, and then the whole world kind of like blames, whoever's in charge. Like, oh, United States should have helped. Oh, the Crown should have helped. Oh, France should have came in and intervened. Um, all right. So this is kind of why we're discussing all this, right? So, all right. Egypt and Syria performed a sneak attack on Israel in 1973, right? So remember that no one was happy with the results of the Six-Day War, all right? Except for the Israelis. The Israelis were kind of dominant because they gained control of Golan Heights, the Sinai, and the West Bank there. But for the rest, the Arab nations that surround Israel, they were definitely unhappy, right? Even to try to come up to a resolution, with the United Nations, they provided some resolution there. I think it's called Resolution 242. No one agreed. No, Jewish people who didn't agree, the Israelis didn't agree, or the Arab nations, they didn't agree either, right? So now it kind of just ceased fire until, like, we'll say like 4 or 5 years later, right? And now we have another war about to happen, 1973, right? And this comes to be with the new president of Egypt here, President Anwar Sadat. So Anwar Sadat, he believed that the results from the Six-Day War were unfair, and they should be questioned, right? Um, he did acknowledge that the United Nations had to take into consideration the unjust taking of Golan Heights, and the Israeli control over the Sinai, and so forth and so and so forth and so on. So Egypt contacts Syria, right? Both of these states are getting supplied by the Soviet Union, all right, to perform the sneak attack on Israel, all right, to take back Golan Heights. All right, so Egypt and Syria performed a sneak attack on Israel in 1973.